You know, I'm actually quite afraid to leave them alone with their governess. She's too romantic. I'll wager she has a whole book full of ghost stories, superstition, and yellow journal horrors up her sleeve.
Oh, pooh, don't go milling around for trouble. When I was a kid, I used to get fun out of my horrors.
But I imagine you were more courageous than most of us.
Why?
Well, Nevada, the far west at the time. I should think a child would have grown up so accustomed to such violent scenes.
Oh, the mining camps. But you don't suppose my father lugged me along on his prospecting trips, do you? Why, I never saw any rough scenes until I finished with school, went to live with father in Goldfield.
And then you met Kurt.
Yes, but I don't mean he was a rough scene. He was very mild, even in those days. Do tell me what he was like at Cornell.
A romanticist. And he still is.
Well, that sedate man? Never.
Oh, don't mind him, Martha. He always was crazy.
Why did you elect to take up mining engineering at Cornell instead of a more classical degree at the Yale of your fathers and brothers? Because you had been reading Bret Harte in prep school, mistaking him for a modern realist. You dedicated 4 years to grooming yourself as another outcast of Poker Flat.
No, it was you that were hypnotized by Harte.
You get a job as an engineer at that Goldfield mine, but you are soon disillusioned by a laborious life where gold tissues are as rare as nuggets. So you try prospecting. You find nothing but different varieties of pebbles. But it is necessary to your nature to project romance into those stones. So you go on strong for geology. And as a geologist, you become a slave to the romance of the rocks. It is but a step from there to anthropology, the last romance of all. And there you find yourself. Because there's nowhere else to go. You win fame as the most proficient of young skull hunters. Wander the face of the globe, digging up old bones like an old dog.
Oh, this man is mad, Martha.
Mad? What an accusation, coming from one who's even now considering setting forth on a 5-year excavating contest to uncover the remains of our gibbering first ancestor, the first man.
No, I'm not considering it any longer. I've decided to go.
When did you decide?
Well, I really only came to a decision this morning. It's a case of got to go. It's a tremendous opportunity. Be a crime for me to neglect.
And a big honor, too, isn't it? To be picked as a member of such a large affair?
Well, I guess it's just that they want all the men with considerable practical experience that they can get. There are bound to be hardships, and they know that I'm hardened to them. I mean, we haven't roughed it in the queer corners for the last 10 years without knowing how it's done, have we, Martha?
No.
This expedition is the first of its kind ever undertaken. I mean, the possibilities from the standpoint of anthropology are limitless.
Now we come to the missing link.
Damn your Barnum and Bailey lingo, Big. This isn't a thing to mock at. I should think the origin of man would be something that would appeal to even your hothouse imagination.
And you hope to dig up our first ancestor.
Well, it's a chance in a million, but I believe that we may, myself at least, find authentic traces of him so we can reconstruct his life and his habits.
And you'll travel with him.
Oh, yes, I've always been with him.
You bet she has. Martha's more efficient than any staff of assistants and secretaries. She knows more about what I'm doing than I do half the time. Well, I guess I'll go in and do some work.
Oh, do you need me now, Kurt?
Oh, you do need to work, just shoot me out.
Oh, no, I couldn't deprive Big of an audience of confessions of a fond parent.
Now look who's mocking at something they know nothing about. I forgot.
I suppose it's hard for any of you back here to realize that Kurt and I ever had any children. 2, both girls. We had a nice little house in Goldfield. We were respectable home folks then. The wandering came later, after. It was a Sunday in winter when Kurt and I went visiting some friends. The nurse girl fell asleep or something. And the children wandered out in the snow in just their underclothes. Pneumonia set in, and a week later they were dead.
Good heavens.
We were real lunatics for a time. But then when we calmed down enough to realize, how things stood with us, we swore we'd never have children again, to steal away their memory. And it wasn't what you thought. Romanticism. That set Kurt wandering and me with him. It was a longing to lose ourselves, to forget. He flung himself with all his power into every new study that interested him. He couldn't keep still mentally or bodily, and then I followed.
Is that what drives him on now?
Oh, no, he's found himself. His work has taken the place of the children.
With you too?
Well, I've helped. All I can. His work has me in it, I'd like to think, and I have him.
I think people are foolish to stand by such an oath as you took forever. Children are such a great comfort in one's old age. I've tragically found.
Old age?
A woman is as old as she looks. You're not yet 30.
Well, after that nice remark, I'll have to forgive you everything.
Hello, Martha. Hello, Big. Well, I walked in regardless. Hope I'm not interrupting? Not at all. Well, I must say it sounded serious. I heard you tell Big you forgive him everything, Martha. You're letting yourself in for a large proposition.
Past is never a past for a dog with a bad name, Lily.
Huh.
You want to repay my truthfulness, Mrs. Jason? Help me take the kids for an airing in the car. I know it's an imposition, but
No.
they've come to expect you.
Oh, fine.
I'll get them and bring you back here.
Fine. Wonderful.
Lily.
You were forgetting, weren't you? What? You'd invited all the family over here to tea this afternoon.
Oh,
I'm the advance guard.
so I was. So stupid.
Do you like Bigelow? Oh, yes, very much.
Oh, and Kurt thinks the world of him.
No, Kurt is the last one to be bothered by anyone's morals. Kurt and I are the unconventional ones of the family. The trouble with Bigelow, Martha, is that he was too careless to conceal his sins, and that will go down in this Philistine small town. Now you have to hide and be a hypocrite. They revenge themselves on you. Bigelow didn't. No, he flaunted his love affairs in everyone's face. And I used to admire him for it. No one exactly blamed him. His wife was a terrible creature. No one could have endured her. But after her death, he suddenly acquired a bad conscience. He'd never noticed the children before, not that he'd even know their names. And then presto, he's about in our midst, giving an invitation of a wet hen with a brood of ducks.
Well, I think it's very fine of him.
His reform is too sudden. He's joined the hypocrites, I think.
I'm sure he's no hypocrite. When you see him with the children.
Oh, I know he's a good actor. Many have been in love with him. You won't find it curious if I'm very, very frank. Will you, Martha?
No, of course not, Lily.
Well, I'm the bearer of a message from the Jason family.
For me?
Don't think I've anything to do with it. I'm only a victor record of their misgivings. Father thinks, well, Brother John and wife, Sister Esther and husband all think that you are unwisely intimate with this same Bigelow.
Well, you sure are funny people. awful.
Oh, no, we're not funny. We'd be all right if we were. On the contrary, very dull and deadly. Bigelow really has a villainous rep for philandering, but of course you didn't know that.
No, I didn't, and I don't care to know now.
I told them we wouldn't relish their silly advice. Oh, I hate their narrow, small-town ethics as much as you do, Martha. I sympathize with you. Indeed, I do. But I have to live with them, and so for comfort's sake, I've had to make compromises. And you're going to live in our midst from now on, aren't you? Well, then you'll have to make compromises, too, if you want any peace.
Well, I refuse to take it seriously. I mean, how could anyone think it's too absurd?
Well, what set them going was Biggs being around such an awful lot. The weeks Kurt was in New York, just after you settled down here. You must acknowledge she was very much present then, Martha.
But that was on account of his children. They were always with him,
The
and
town doesn't trust this sudden fond parenthood, Martha. We've known him too long, you see.
but he's Kurt's oldest and best friend.
We found they always are.
Well, it's a case of evil minds, it seems to me, and it would be extremely insulting if I didn't have a sense of humor. Then you can tell your family, and as far as I'm concerned, they can all
Go to
go.
the devil, I knew you'd say that. Well, fight the good fight, Martha. I wish I had something worth fighting for. All I do is read book after book. The only live people are the ones in books, I find, and the only live life.
Well, you're lonely. That's what, Lily?
Don't pity me, Martha. I'll join the enemy.
Oh, but I'm not. But I'd like to help you if I could. Have you ever thought of marrying?
Martha! How banal. Men I see are enough to banish the thought if I ever had it.
Marriage isn't only the man, it's children. Wouldn't you like to have children?
Wouldn't you?
Lily,
Oh, I know it wasn't practicable as long as you elected to wander around with Kurt. But why not now? When you've definitely settled down here? Well, I think that would solve things all around. If you could present father with a grandson, I'm sure he'd fall on your neck. He feels piqued at the John Nesbitt families because they've had a run of girls. Male Jason. Uncle Davidson would weep with joy. You're 38, aren't you, Martha?
yes.
Well, then why don't you? Before it's too late? You don't want to tag along with Kurt to the ends of the earth forever, do you? No. It's time for both of you to rest on your laurels. Why can't Kurt keep on with what he's doing now? Stay home and write his books?
Kurt isn't that kind. The actual work, the romance of it, that's his leg.
Well, if he goes and you have to stay, you'll be lonesome. Alone.
Horribly. I don't know what I'll do.
Why? Why? Think, Martha, if Kurt knew that that was to happen, well, he'd want to stay here with you. I'm sure he would.
No. Kurt has come to dislike children. They remind him of ours. He adored them so. He has never become reconciled.
If you confronted Kurt with the actual fact, he'd be reconciled soon enough and happy in the bargain.
Do you really think so?
You, Martha, I can tell from the way you talk that you'd like to.
Yes. I never thought I'd want to again, but lately, the last few years, I felt when we came to live here and I saw around me homes and children and
I know. You must stay. That's all there is to it. If you want my advice, you go right ahead and don't tell Kurt until it's a fact he'll have to learn to like willy-nilly. And you'll find in his inmost heart he'll be tickled to death.
yes. I'll confess, I thought of that in spite of my fear.
My Martha, what? What? It is, isn't it? It is! What have you known?
2 months ago.
Okay, that's really Jason's now. Yes, it's Uncle Davidson and Mark. The first wave of attack, Martha, be brave. The Young guard dies but never surrenders.
Oh, you make me feel terribly ill at ease when you put it that way, Lily. Will you have tea now, or wait for the others?
Oh, let's wait. They ought to be here any moment.
Just think, Martha had forgotten you were coming. She was going motoring with Bigelow.
Where's Kurt, Martha?
Hard at work in his study. I'm afraid he's there for the day.
Still plugging away at his book, I suppose. Well, I hope it will be a big success.
As big a success as the brief you're writing, to restrain the citizens from preventing the traction company robbing them, eh, Mark? Right, Uncle.
What you need to bring you down to earth is a husband and the responsibility of children. Any woman who is able should have children. Don't you believe that, Martha Jason?
Yes, I do, Mr. Davidson.
Please, you must call me Uncle. All the Jasons do.
Oh, thank you, Uncle.
Why don't the others come, darling? Time for my tea.
Oh, hello, everybody. Martha, I don't mean to interrupt, but
Oh, you need my help.
yes, not for long, just a few notes before I forget them.
You'll excuse me for a few moments, won't you?
Why doesn't Kurt hire a secretary? That is no work for his wife.
A paid secretary could hardly give the sympathy and understanding that Kurt needs. And she would have to study for years, as I have done, in order to take my place. You'll see, if I'm not here by the time the others arrive, will you see about the tea, Julie?
Sure. I love serving. If I were a man, I'd be a bartender in Mexico or Canada.
I'll be with you again in a minute.
Even people touched with a smattering of science seem to get rude, don't they?
I have heard much silly talk of this being an age of free women, and I have always said it was Tommy rot. She is an example. She is more of a slave to Kurt's hobbies than any of my generation were to anything but their children. Where are her children?
They died. Uncle, as children have a bad habit of doing. However, I wouldn't despair if I were you.
What do you mean, Lily? What are you so mysterious about? What did she say? What?
Here comes the rest of our grand fleet. Now I'll have my tea.
Goodness. Lily is trying on the nerves.
Good afternoon, Uncle Edward.
Well, the gang's all here. Looks like the League of Nations. All right, let's get down to cases, folks. I want to know why I've been summoned here. I'm due for tournament mixed doubles at the casino at 5. Where's the tea?
Here's the tea.
It seems it would be most to the point to inquire where our hostess.
Working at his book, he called Martha to take notes on something.
And Kurt is with him, I suppose.
She left us as if she were glad of the excuse.
She knows how much Kurt depends on her, and we don't.
Martha seems to be the model wife.
How well you say what you don't mean, John. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat. But I'm forgetting something. Do the honors. Tea! Everybody, tea! Everybody.
Stop fooling now, Lily. Let's get to our muttons. Did you talk with Martha?
Oh, I did, sir.
And what did she say?
She said you could all go to the devil. Oh, not in those words. Martha is a perfect lady, but she did make it plain she will thank you to mind your own business.
And just imagine, she'd even forgotten she'd asked us here this afternoon and was going motoring with Bigelow.
With his 3 children, too, don't forget.
They become such well-behaved and intelligent children, they say.
You'd better let Martha train yours for a while, John. I'm sure she'd improve their manners, though of course she couldn't give them any intelligence.
So it's Bigelow you're up in the air about. The deuce, you say?
Look at our soldier boy home from the wars, getting serious about the family honor. It's too bad this is a rough, untutored country where they don't permit dueling, isn't it, Dick?
Go to the devil.
This wrangling is getting us nowhere. You say she was resentful about our well-meant word to the wives?
Surely she must realize that some consideration is due the position she occupies in Bridgetown as Kurt's wife.
Martha is probably unimpressed with big frogs and tiny puddles.
The idea! She takes a lot upon herself. The daughter of a Wild West coal miner.
Gold miner, Uncle?
It makes no difference. A common miner.
Just before the others came, Lily, you gave out some hints. Very definite hints, I should say. You did, Lily. What did you mean?
Perhaps I shouldn't have. It's not my secret. Shall I tell you? Yes, I can't help telling. Well, Martha's going to have a son.
A son? Kurt's son?
Son? Lily's kidding you. How can she know it's a son? Unless she's a clairvoyant.
Yes. How stupid.
I am a clairvoyant in this case. Allah is great, and it will be a son if only to make you and Emily burst with envy among your daughters.
Lily.
Keep still for a moment, Lily, for God's sake. This is no subject to joke about.
Martha told me. I know that.
Yes. And does Kurt know?
Not yet, no. Martha has been afraid to tell him.
Well, that explains matters. You know, I asked Kurt some time ago, and he said it was impossible.
Impossible. What a funny thing to say.
And why is Martha afraid to tell him, Lily?
Oh, it's very simple. When the two died years ago, they said they would never have one again. And Martha thinks Kurt is still haunted by their memory, and is afraid he will present another as an intruder. Well, I told her that that was all foolishness, that a child was the one thing to make Kurt settle down for good, at home and write his books.
Yes, I believe that myself. Well, this is fine news.
Still, it was her duty to tell Kurt, don't you think? I don't see how she could be afraid of Kurt for those reasons.
I don't either. Why, Kurt is the biggest hearted and kindest.
I wonder how long she's known.
2 months, she said.
2 months.
2 months. What do you mean, John? 2 months. Oh, but before that, Kurt was away in New York for almost a month.
Yes. And Bigelow was here an awful lot.
So you finally said it. Poison mine.
Well, where the honor of the family is at stake.
You're empty barrel, I think I can hear.
How do you do, everybody? So sorry I wasn't here when you came. I hope Lily made proper excuses for me. I hope Lily... Well, I'm glad to know I wasn't missed.
We were talking about you. Or at least, we were listening to Lily talk about you.
About me.
Yes, about how devoted you were to Kurt's work.
Oh, but you see, I consider it my work, too. I've helped him with it for so long now.
And how is Kurt's book coming along, Martha?
Finally, thank you. The book will cause quite a stir, I think. It will make the name Jason famous in the world outside of Bridgetown.
The name of Jason has been well known.
Uncle Edward.
No, Uncle means it's world famous already, Martha. Why, John was once a substitute on the Yale freshman soccer team, you know? If it wasn't for his weak shins, he would have made a team pencil.
Lily wins. Heavens, I have to hustle. I'm due at the casino. I'm sorry I can't stay.
Well, so glad you came. Do come in any time. We keep an open house, Western fashion.
Delighted to.
But wait a second, I'm coming too. I need some fresh air.
Thank goodness she's gone. What a vixen. What would you do if you had a sister like that, Martha?
Oh, I'd love her and try to understand her.
She's a bad ally to rely on. This side of the fence one day and that the next.
Is that why you advised her to become a lawyer?
Now, that remark might be cataloged as catty.
It seems to be in the air, the Bridgetown atmosphere. I never was, not in the least bit, in the open air.
Oh, Bridgetown isn't so bad, Martha, once you get to know us.
It's one of the most prosperous and wealthy towns in the U.S. And that means in the world nowadays.
That isn't what Martha means, John. I know what she's thinking about us, and I'm not sure that I don't agree with her, hardly. She feels that we're so awfully strict about certain things. It must be so different in the far west, I suppose. So much freer.
Ah, so then you believe broad-mindedness and clean thinking are a question of locality? I can't agree with you. I know nothing of the present far west, not having lived there for 10 years. But Kurt and I have lived in the far east. And I'm sure he'd agree with me in saying that Chinese ancestor worship is far more dignified than ours. After all, you know, theirs is religion, not snobbery.
Martha!
That must be Bigelow. I suppose Lily told you I had an engagement to go motoring with him? So sorry, I must leave. But I'm like Lily, I need fresh air. I'll call Kurt. Kurt, come out! It's important! He'll be out when he's through swearing.
Well, all the damn chic.
She shows her breeding, I must say.
I will never set foot in this house again.
Now, Uncle Edward, do keep your head. We have no chance to have any scandal of any sort. Remember, there are servants about. And remember her condition.
Yes. The family mustn't forget her condition.
Where's Martha? What's the important thing she called me out here for?
To play host, you big bear, you. Don't you think we came to see you too? Sit down here and be good.
Martha had to leave us to go motoring with Mr. Bigelow.
And the 3 children.
Baby and his eternal children. Well, what the deuce? You know, I must be getting selfish to grudge Martha her bit of fresh air. You know what it means to outdoor animals like us to be pent up? We're used to living with the sky as a roof. Oh, did Martha tell you I definitely decided to go on the 5-year exposition?
Kurt, you're not.
And leave Martha here, all alone, for 5 years?
Yes, you can't take Martha with you this time, you know.
Oh, no. What makes you so sure of that? All right, I'll let you in on a little secret. Only you must promise not to breathe a word to Martha until tomorrow. Tomorrow's her birthday, and I've been saving the surprise for her. I've been intriguing for the last month or 2 to get permission for Martha to go with me. It's difficult because women are supposed to be barred, but I've succeeded. The letter came yesterday. I know she'd give it up hope, but I suppose that is making her feel so out of sorts.
But would you persist in going alone if you knew it was impossible for her to do it?
Well, I can't imagine going without her. You people, you can't have any idea of what a chum she's been. You can't believe that a woman could be so much that, well, in a life of that kind, I've grown to depend on her. The 1,000 details, she attends to them all, she remembers everything. I'd be lost. I'd be lost without her. I wouldn't know what to do or how to start. Well, we can both go now, thank heaven.
No, she cannot go. It is your duty to...
Oh, come now. That's nonsense, Uncle. You don't understand the kind of woman Martha is.
I have said my last word. Go your own road and work your own ruin.
Well, I think I'll change my togs and go for a walk. I'll see you in a little bit.
Kurt acts so funny, doesn't he?
He certainly appeared put out when he heard she'd gone motoring with Big.
This dislike of the very mention of children. It's not like Kurt, not a bit.
There's something rotten in Denmark somewhere. This family will live to regret having accepted a stranger.
Come now. This is all only suspicion. There is no evidence. You have no case. And the defendant is innocent until you have proved her guilty, remember.
Well, if I were sure it would all blow over without any open scandal, I'd offer up a prayer of thanks.
Listen to that ruckus, will you? Kids are having the time of their life. Your wife's playing hide and seek with them. Come and look.
Well, I can see well enough from here.
She seems to be getting as much out of it as they are. Teddy just found her behind the tree. I'll take a lead. She's quite a hand with those children.
Martha gets along with anyone very well.
You think so? With everyone?
Yes, everyone. Everyone we've ever come in contact with, including Aboriginal natives.
With the Aboriginal natives of Bridgetown. With the well-known Jason family, for example.
Why? Everything's all right between Martha and them, isn't it? Well, you know, I will confess, this damn book has me so preoccupied.
Too preoccupied, if you don't mind my saying so. It's not fair to leave her to fight it alone.
Like what? Martha has a sense of humor. I'm sure their petty prejudices merely amuse her.
Mosquito is a ridiculous, amusing creature seen under a microscope, but when the swarm has been stinging you all night.
Oh, so you speak from experience, eh?
Touch me anywhere and you'll find a bite. I was a native in this town, and they did the honor of devoting its entire leisure attention for years to stinging me to death.
Well, if I'm to believe even 1/10 of the family letters I used to receive on the subject of my old friend Bigelow, they sure had just cause.
I'll play fair. They did, then. But it's exasperating to know they'll never give you credit for changing. I almost said reforming. Well, not to be above the gossip in this town, but say what you want. It does get under your skin.
So you'd like to be known as a reformed character, eh?
They do? You sound skeptical. But I swear to you, Kurt, I'm an absolutely new man since my wife's death. Since I've grown to love the children. Before that, they were her children, not mine, it seemed. Now, we're the best of pals, and I've commenced to appreciate life from a different angle. I found a new career, the children. The finest career a man could have, I believe.
Yes, I suppose. If you're made that way.
Meaning you're not.
I tried that once.
But we are wandering away from the subject of Martha versus the mosquitoes.
To deuce with that. Now trust Martha to take care of herself. Besides, I'll have her out of this stagnant hole before so very long. 6 months to be exact. I'm going to take her with me.
On the expedition.
Yes, now I haven't told her yet, but I'm going to today. It's her birthday, and I've been saving the news to surprise her.
It's her birthday. I wish the children and I had known. Well, it's not too late.
39 candles if you're planning on baking a cake.
39 isn't old. But it's not young either.
Talk like an old woman, babe. What have years to do with it? Martha she's young in spirit, and she always will be.
Hey, come in, people!
Sure thing.
Oh, I've had to run away from them and with the governess. They're too active for me. Oh, you know I'm tired out. I must be getting old.
It was just remarking that this very moment, Martha.
I declare of all the horrid things to hear.
He prevaricates Mrs. Jason.
Oh, there now, Kurt. I'm sure it was you who said it. It sounds like just like one of your horrid facts.
Well, how can I offer my felicitations now? But I do, despite your husband's calumny. May your shadow never grow less.
Thank you.
And now I shall collect my flock and head home.
So long, babe. Be sure you don't mislay one of your heirs.
No fear. They might mislay me, though.
Oh, there they go. What darlings they are. Oh. Ah. Whoever did say it was right. I, Kurt, am getting old.
That's nonsense.
Oh, I feel it.
Nonsense! You're not the sort that ever grows old.
I'm afraid we're all that sort here. Even you. Circumstantial evidence. I'll have to die when you're asleep sometime. And then nobody will know.
Well, you don't have any silver threads.
No,
Unless I just suspect.
No, I don't! Honest, cross my heart. I wouldn't even conceal that from you if I did. But gray hairs prove nothing. I am actually older than you.
One whole year. That's frightful, isn't it?
I am a woman, and that 1 year equals at least 6. Well, no, I don't want to talk about it. It fills me with a queer panic.
You are a silly girl.
You always love me. Even when I'm old and ugly and feeble and you're young and strong and handsome.
Martha, what a foolish thing to say, sweetheart. If we ever have to grow old, we'll do it together, because we've done everything.
It's my dream of happiness, Kurt. Oh, it has been a wonderful, strange life we've lived together, hasn't it? You're sure you've never regretted, never had the weakest doubt that it might have been better with someone else?
Martha.
And I've helped. I've really helped you, haven't I?
Oh, you've been the best wife a man could ever wish for, Martha. You are wonderful. I owe everything to you. Your sympathy, your encouragement. Oh, don't you know I realize that?
Yes. It has been a wonderful, glorious life. I'd live it all over again, every single second of it, even the terrible suffering of the children.
No, don't. Yeah, I wouldn't want that over again. Why are you putting all this in the past tense? Seems to me the most interesting part is still ahead of us.
I mean, together, Kurt.
So do I.
But you're going away, and I can't go with you this time.
Yes, it does complicate matters a bit, doesn't it?
How indifferently you say that, as if you didn't care.
What do you think you'll do all the time I'm gone?
I'll be dead, lost. I won't know what to do. I'll die of loneliness. Unless...
What?
Oh, Kurt, I love you so. Okay, swear you'll always love me no matter what I do, no matter what I ask.
But sweetheart.
Then don't go.
What? I've got to go, you know that.
Yes. Yes, I suppose I have. Of course you have, of course.
But Marley, you said you'd be lonely unless. Unless what?
Unless okay, I'm afraid, but I have to, okay. Hold me very close, 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 and I'll whisper it in your ear, okay? You ready?
That's impossible.
Don't be mad at me. Not until you've heard everything, and it isn't impossible. It's so, it's happened. I was keeping it a secret to tell you today, on my birthday.
You mean it's a fact?
Oh, Kurt, don't look that way. Why don't you just hold me close to you? Why don't you say you're glad, for my sake?
But Martha, you don't understand. How can I pretend gladness when it's gonna spoil all our plans?
Plans? Our plans? What do you mean?
Yes, you're going with me, of course. official permission. I've been working on it for months, and the letter came just yesterday.
Oh, permission to go with
Yes,
you?
yes, I couldn't conceive of going without you, and I knew you must be wishing.
Oh,
Martha, you don't mean to tell me that you weren't.
I was wishing you'd finally decide not to go.
But you must realize that's impossible. You can go with me, do you hear? Everything's arranged. And I had to fight so hard. I was running the risk of losing my own chance by my insistence that I couldn't go without you.
I understand all that, Kurt.
And yet you hesitate. Honey, this is the greatest thing that ever happened. The greatest thing ever attempted. There are unprecedented possibilities. A whole world of knowledge may be opened up. The very origin of man himself. And you would be the only woman. And we can go on living the old free life together as we always have.
You're forgetting what I told you, Kurt. I can't go. I can't go.
How long have you known this?
2 months about?
Why didn't you tell me before?
I was afraid you wouldn't understand, and you haven't, Kurt. Why didn't you tell me what you were planning?
Well, you mean you would have been glad to go before this happened?
I would have accepted it.
Martha, how could you allow this to happen? No, I'm sorry. I'm talking foolishness. It wasn't your seeking, I know.
Yes, it was, Kurt.
Martha! Martha, you've broken the promise we made when they died. They were to be our only children.
They forgive me, Kurt. And you'll forgive me too, when you see him.
Him?
I know it's going to be a boy.
Oh, Martha. Martha.
You must make allowances for me, Kurt, and forgive me. I am getting old. That's the truth. And I've reached the turning point. Will you listen to my side of it, Kurt, and try to see it with sympathy, with true understanding, like just forgetting your work for the moment?
You know, I think that's unfair, Martha. I think of it as our work, and I believed that you always did too.
I did, and I do, and all in the past is our work. It's my greatest pride to think so. But Kurt, I have to confess frankly, during the past 2 years I felt myself feeling as if I wasn't complete with that alone.
Martha, all this time I believed it was becoming more and more the aim of your life too.
I'm glad of that, dear. I tried my best to conceal it from you. Oh, how I kept looking forward to the time when we come back and rest in our own home. You know, you did say this was your plan, to stay here and write your books, and I was hoping that we would...
I loathe this book writing, Martha. I see now, it isn't my part. I realize that.
Well, you gotta go. I won't try and stop you. I'll help all in my power, as I've always done, only I can't go with you anymore. And you must help me to do my work by understanding it. Oh, Kurt, I wish I could tell you how I feel and just make you feel with me the longing for a child. You know, if you just had the tiniest bit of feminine in you. You're so utterly masculine. And that's what made me love you, I suppose. So I have no right to complain of it. I don't, and I wouldn't have you changed one bit. I love you. And I love the things you love, your work, because it's a part of you. And that's what I want you to do, to reciprocate. To love the Creator in me, and to desire that I, too, should complete myself with the thing nearest my heart.
But I thought that...
But after all, your work is your work,
No.
not mine, and I have only been a helper. And a good comrade, too, I hope. but somehow outside of it all. Do you remember 2 years ago when we camped in Yunnan among the Aboriginal tribes? It was one night there when we were lying out in our sleeping bags in the mountains along the Tibetan frontier. I couldn't sleep. Suddenly I felt, oh, so tired. Utterly alone, out of harmony with you, with the earth under me. I became horribly despondent, like an outcast who suddenly realizes the whole world is alien. And all that wandering about the world, and that romanticism and excitement I'd enjoyed in it appeared just an aimless, futile business, chasing around in a circle. And I tried to laugh at myself and fight it off, but it stayed and grew worse, and it seemed I was the only creature alive who wasn't alive. And all at once, this picture of a tribeswoman came to me, who stood looking at us in a little mountain village as we rode by. She was nursing her child. Her eyes were so curiously sure of herself. Thought of our children who had died. Such a longing for another child came to me that I began sobbing. You were asleep, you didn't hear. And when we came back here to have a home at last, I was so happy because I saw my chance of fulfillment before it was too late. Now can you understand, dear?
Understand? No, I can't understand.
Kurt, I don't believe you heard a word I was saying.
No, I can't understand. I can't. Martha, I've depended on you.
Kurt,
This is the most crucial point. This is the biggest thing in my life.
You listened to me and you even tried to feel.
I feel like you're deliberately ruining my highest hope. I mean, how can I go on without you? I've been trying to imagine myself alone, and I can't. Martha, don't I love you as much as any man could ever love a woman? I mean, isn't that enough for you? Doesn't it mean anything to you that I need you so terribly for myself and my work? I mean, for everything that's best and worthiest in me? No, I can't. It's asking the impossible. I'm only human.
If you were human, you'd think of my life as well as yours.
I do! It's our life I'm fighting for. Not mine, our life.
Our life seems to mean your life to you, Kurt, and only your life. I've devoted 15 years to that, and now I must fight for my own.
Well, you talk like we're enemies, Martha. No, I don't mean it. You've made yourself a part of my life and my work. I need you. I need you so.
Kurt, it won't separate us. Dear, can't you see? He will be the link between us. Even when we're away from each other, that he will bring us together and even closer.
I can't be away from you, Martha.
Don't you look the fact in the face and learn to accept it with joy? Why can't you, for my sake? I would do that for you.
There are doctors who...
Kurt! You proposed that to me! Oh, Kurt, when you feel him within me, like a budding of my deepest soul, and you say what you just said, and you'll never understand.
Martha, I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, why does it have to happen now?
It has to be now, or not at all. At my age, dear. You've changed, Kurt. I remember it used to be your happiness to sacrifice yourself for me.
When your only meaning in life comes as a searcher for knowledge. You can't sacrifice that. You must sacrifice everything else or lose all sincerity.
Well, I wonder where your work leaves off and you begin. Hasn't your work become you?
Yes. And no. You can't understand,
Nor
Martha.
are you!
And you and your work, aren't they one and the same?
So you think mine is selfish too? I can't blame you, Kurt. It's all my fault. I've spoiled you by giving up my life completely to yours. You've forgotten I have one. But I don't mean that as a martyr. I know that in you alone lay my happiness in all those years after the children died. But we are no longer what we were then. And we must, both of us, relearn to love and respect what we have become.
Nonsense. No. You talk as if our love is an intellectual process. I love you, and I need you, and we have to stop this vivisecting. Please.
Yes, you love me. But who am I? You don't know.
Well,
No change, sir. God, Dad, I can't stand her moaning and screaming. It's got my nerves shot to pieces. I thought I was hardened. I heard them out in no man's land, dying by inches. We couldn't get to them or help. But this is worse. 1,000,000 times worse. After all, they were men. That was war.
Martha is having an exceptionally hard ordeal.
Since 3 o'clock this morning. Yesterday morning, I should say. It's a wonder she isn't dead.
Where's Kurt?
Still out in the garden, walking around like a lunatic.
Why didn't you make him come in?
Make him! That's easy to say. He's in a queer state, Dad, I can tell you. There's something torturing him besides her pain.
Yes. There's a lot in all of this we do not know about.
I suppose the reason he's so down on the family is because we've rather cut her since that tea affair.
Shouldn't blame us. She acted abominably and has certainly caused enough talk since then. Always about with a big one.
And yet he keeps asking everyone to send for Bigelow. Says he wants to talk to him, not us. We can't understand.
I'm afraid Kurt knows we understand too much. But why does he want Bigelow? In God's name, in his present state, with the suspicions he must have, there's liable to be a frightful scene.
Oh, don't be afraid of the scene. The hell of it is he seems to regard Bigelow as his best friend. Damn if I can make it out.
I gave orders that they were always to tell Kurt Bigelow was out of town and couldn't be reached. What a frightful situation for all of us. It may sound cruel of me, but I can't help wishing for all our sakes that this baby might never be.
Yes, Dad, I know what you're thinking. It would be the best thing for it, too.
are coming down too. It's too much for them and they've had personal experience. I hereby become a life member of the birth control league. Let's let humanity see if God can't manage its continuance any better than that.
Second the motion.
Keep your blasphemous notions to yourself, Lily.
I can't stand it. Hey, take me home, Dick, won't you? There's no good waiting. I'll have a fit or something if I stay.
That's fine by me. I'll come along.
I'm never gonna marry or have a child. Never, never.
Oh, Lily, don't you know you're shouting? And what's silly talk?
Or I'll show you silly. I'll go gallivanting
Are you
down
coming or not?
Yes, wait, I'm here.
I thought I went through something awful when mine were born, but this is too awful.
It's almost as if her suffering was a punishment, don't you think?
Oh, I wish I didn't have such evil suspicions. But the way Kurt goes on, how can you help feeling there's something wrong?
How is her?
Walking around that damned garden half the night. If Kurt was only the least bit grateful. He isn't. He hates us all and wishes we were out of his home. I would have left long ago if I didn't want any part in saving my family from disgrace.
Has he quieted down? That's what I want to know.
Not in the least. He is out of his head. And I'd be out of mine if a child was being born to my wife after that.
Keep that to yourself. Remember, you have no proof. Think all you want, but don't talk.
Oh, the whole town knows it anyway. I'm sure. They must.
There has only been gossip. No real open scandal. Let's do our united best to keep it at that. And where's Uncle Edward? We'll have to keep an eye on him, too. He's liable to blurt out the whole business before all comers.
You needn't be afraid. He's forgotten all about the scandalous part. No word has come to him since he's out in the country, and he hasn't stepped foot in the town since that unfortunate tea, remember? And at present, he's so busy wishing the child would be a boy that he hasn't even thought of another thing.
Yeah.
Well, where's Kurt?
Inside, I think. He'll be with us in a minute. Just now, he's phoning to Bigelow.
For God's sake, couldn't you stop him?
Not without a scene. Your uncle persuaded him to come into the house, and he rushed for the phone. I think he guessed we had been lying to him.
Then Bigelow will be here soon?
It depends on his sense of decency. As he seems lacking in that quality, I have no doubt he'll come.
Oh, Kurt seems to be too bound to disgrace everyone concerned. I want it thoroughly understood that we wash our hands of the whole disgusting affair.
I think it is our duty to stay.
Sit down, Mark. And wash your hands indeed. Aren't you as much concerned as any of us?
Shh. I think I heard Kurt coming now.
Liars. Well, he's coming now. Why didn't you want him to come, eh? He's my oldest friend. I've got to talk to somebody, and I certainly can't talk to you. Why are you here? Why don't you just go away? Oh, God! God, why don't she go through this agony? Why?
Let's go out and leave him alone. Perhaps he'll sleep.
Kurt. Kurt, remember I'm your father. Can't you confide in me? I'll do anything to help.
No, Dad. Leave me alone.
As you wish.
And send Big to me as soon as he gets here.
Very well. If you insist.
Got over as soon as I could. But Joe, old man, you look like you've been through hell.
I have.
Buck up. How's Martha?
She's in hell, too.
Martha is so strong and healthy. There's no doubt of her pulling through it in fine shape.
She never should have attempted this. You know, I have a grudge against you, Big. It was you. You bringing your children over here that first planted this in her mind.
That's why you haven't noticed me or them around here so much. Well, confess, I thought that the infernal gossip, I thought that you might think that.
For God's sake, I don't want you here to discuss Bridgetown gossip.
I know, man, forgive me.
She's been moaning like that hour after hour. I hear these sounds even when I'm dead.
I never thought you'd turn morbid.
I've changed, Kate. I hardly know myself anymore.
Once you're back on the job again, you'll be all right. You're still determined to go on this expedition?
Yes. I'm supposed to join them this week in New York, but I've arranged to catch up with them in China as soon as it's possible for us to go.
Us?
Yes, us, certainly. Why not? Martha ought to be able to travel in a month or so.
Yes, but do you think it'd be safe to take the child?
Oh, damn all children, Big! I can't help it. I can't. I fought against it. But it's there. It's deep down in me, and I can't drive it out. I can't.
What, Kurt?
Hatred. Yes, hatred. I mean, what's the use of denying it? I've got to tell someone, and you're the only one who might
If you
understand.
live from out there and you talk this way, it would kill her.
I know. I know. Think she read it in my eyes. It's horrible, but I don't know. When I saw her there, suffering, I couldn't keep it out of my eyes. I tried to force it back in for her sake, but I couldn't. I was holding her hands, and her eyes searched mine with such longing questions in them, and she read only my hatred there, not my love of her.
This is your damned imagination.
No. She read it in my eyes. I saw that look of hers, of horror.
No,
horror
you're
of me.
raving. You're
She'll
raving.
never forgive me. How can I forgive myself?
Don't think about it. It's ridiculous.
For years, we two were sufficient, each to each. And it was a fine life we had.
That was your life, Kurt.
No, it was her life too. Her work as well as mine. She had made the life our life. She had made the work our life. Had she a right to repudiate everything we built because she... I've tried to become reconciled. I've tried my damnedest, but I couldn't. I've grown to dread the idea of this intruder. She saw it. I mean, she denied it, but she knew. I think there was something in each of us that the other grew to hate. And still, we loved each other as never before. And we grew to just pity each other's helplessness.
I'm sure you have to tell anyone this.
A thought came to me that if a certain thing happened, Martha could still go with me. And I knew if this did happen, that she'd want to go, that she would fling herself back into the spirit of our work and forget. And then she would be mine more than ever.
Kurt!
The child might be born dead!
Kurt! Do you know what you're saying? This is your child. It's yours as well as hers.
No, I've tried. There's some force in me.
Kurt, do you realize how contemptible what you're saying is? If you had one trace of human kindness, one unselfish love for your wife, you would realize it.
No, I have all the pity and the love in the world for her. And that's why I can't help hating the cause of her suffering.
You never thought you might repay Martha for her giving her life to you by devoting the rest of yours to her?
It's over at last.
A son, Kurt! A son! Let us all give thanks to God.
Kurt, your wife is asking for you.
There, I told you so, you see. Get up, you chump, go!
Martha! Martha!
Some people seem to have no decency.
I quite agree with you.
Scoundrel.
Get up, Uncle Edward. Ridiculous. What a scene if anyone should see you like that.
So, it's a boy.
Did you hear Kurt and how he yelled? It's plain as the nose on his face that he didn't want.
Can you blame him?
And that awful cheek of that Bigelow person coming in here.
They appeared as friendly as ever when we came in.
Kurt is a blind simpleton. And that man is a dyed-in-the-wool scoundrel.
Shh! Suppose we are overheard.
When Kurt leaves, we can put her in her proper place. I'll soon let her know that she hasn't fooled me not once.
Where are you going, Uncle Edward?
I must see him again. The dear.
Come on. Let's go up and see. Everyone will think it funny if we don't.
Yes. I think I'd better go up. But we better all go up. Make some sort of inquiry about Martha. You know, it's expected of us. Kurt? Kurt? What is it, my boy?
What is the matter?
His wife is dead. She lived just long enough to recognize him.
And the baby?
It's fine.
I'm so sorry I said or thought anything wrong about her. Forgive me, Martha.
Kurt? Kurt!
Her eyes. She knew me. She knew me and she smiled. And she whispered, "Forgive me, Kurt. Forgive me." When it was I that should have been forgiving her, but before I could, but she loved me again. I saw it in her eyes. She had forgotten. She had forgotten it. It murdered her. Going back.
men's funerals are, anyway. Stupid minister whining away through his nose. Why does the Lord show such a partiality for men without a noise, I wonder?
Have you no respect for anything?
If I had, I'd have lost it when I saw all you pulling such long faces in the church. But you knew you were under observation. Such hypocrisy. And then to cap it all, John has to force out a few crocodile tears at the grave.
When I saw Kurt, that's when I cried, not for her.
What a scene Kurt made. I actually believe he wanted to throw himself into the grave.
You believe he wanted to? Why, it was all Mark and I could do to stop him, wasn't it, Mark?
I never expected he'd turn violent like that. He'd seemed calm enough the past 3 days.
Calm. Yes, just like a corpse is calm.
And now this perfectly mad idea of going away today and joining that infernal expedition. Leaving that child on our hands, the child he has never even looked at. Why, it's too monstrously flagrant. He's deliberately flaunting this scandal in everyone's face.
We must talk to him, quite openly if we're forced to. After all, I guess he realizes the situation more keenly than any of us.
You mean you think he believes? Well, I don't. And you had better be careful not to let him guess what you think. There's my proof right there. There you see him waiting about with Bigelow? Can you imagine Kurt doing that if he thought for a moment?
Oh, I guess Kurt isn't all fool. He knows that's the very best way to keep people from suspecting.
But wouldn't you think that Bigelow person, disgusting, is sticking to Kurt like this?
Well, for one, I'm becoming quite resigned to Bigelow's presence. In the first place, he seems to be the only one who can bring Kurt to reason. Then again, I feel it is to Bigelow's own interest to convince Kurt that he mustn't provoke an open scandal by running away without acknowledging the child.
I hate you all. And I loathe your suspicions, and I loathe myself because I'm getting to be poisoned by them too.
Uncle Edward, where are you going? Lily, go with him and see that he doesn't.
He's only going up to see the baby. He's simply forgotten everything else in the world.
He probably realizes what we are too mean to remember. The baby at least is innocent.
Hurry, he shouldn't be left alone.
Well, what's next? I don't see what good you're accomplishing. May I run along?
You will stay, if you please. There's to be no shirking on anyone's part. It may take all of us to induce Kurt to
I
stay.
wouldn't worry. Bigelow is taking that job off our hands, I imagine.
He certainly seems to be doing his damnedest. The stage missed a great actor in him.
But if Bigelow should fail,
Then we'll succeed. My God, we'll have to.
Kurt has already packed his trunks and had them taken down to the station. Told me he was leaving on the 5 o'clock train.
But didn't you hint to him that there was now this matter of the child to be considered in making his plans?
I started to. He simply flared up at me with insane rage.
Say, I believe they're coming in.
Bigelow?
Yes, they're both making for the front door.
I suggest we beat a retreat to Kurt's study and wait there.
Yes, let's do that. Come on.
Damn it, wake up! Are you made of stone? Has everything I said gone in one ear and out the other? I know it's hell for me to torment you at this particular time. It's your incredibly unreasonable actions it forces me to. I know how terribly you must feel, but damn it, postpone this going away. Face the situation like a man. Be reconciled with the child. Stay with them at least until you have time to make suitable arrangements.
Never.
And you keep repeating that. With Martha barely cold in the grave. I asked you again, what would she think? How would she feel? If you would just consent to see the child, you'll see how incredibly mad and cruel you're being. Won't you? Just for a second.
No! If I saw it, I would be tempted to. No more talk. No more talk.
forget all that was most dear in the world to Martha? To go your own damn selfish way? There's nothing else to be said. And I want you to realize that all friendship between us ceases from here on out. You're not the Kurt I thought I knew. And I have nothing but a feeling of repulsion.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Big. Big. Big.
Kurt, forgive me. I hope to know better. This isn't you. You'll find yourself when you have time to think it over. The memory of Martha, she'll tell you what to do. Goodbye.
Kurt,
What time is it? Do you know?
2 minutes to 4.
Still an hour of this. Another hour.
Kurt, such a dear. I could stay watching you forever.
Uncle, surely, Kurt, you're not still thinking of going on the 5 o'clock train, are you?
Yes.
That Mr. Bigelow didn't persuade you to...
I am not to be persuaded by Big or anyone else, and I will thank you not to talk any more of that.
You mustn't be unreasonable, Kurt. After all, we are your family. Your best friends in the world, and we're only trying to help.
I don't want your help! You'll help me most by keeping silent.
Yes, no doubt.
Oh, shh, John.
But you see, Kurt...
If you'll allow me to be the spokesman, I think perhaps that I... Well then, will you listen to me, Kurt?
Yes, I'm listening. What else can I do when you've got me cornered? Say what you like and let's get it over with.
First of all, Kurt, I hope it is needless for me to express how very deeply we all feel for you in your sorrow. But we sincerely trust that you are aware of our heartfelt empathy.
Poor Martha.
I may truthfully say we all feel, as John does, even if we do not give vent. I know what a terrible day this must be for you, Kurt. We all do. And we feel guilty in breaking in upon the sanctity of your sorrow in any way. But if you will pardon my saying so, your own course of action, the suddenness of your plans, have made it imperative that we come to an understanding about certain things. About one thing in particular, I might say.
Yes, it is for the best, Kurt.
Yes, Kurt!
You mustn't be unreasonable! Yes, old man, you've got to face things like a regular. Facts are facts.
I'm going out in the garden. You can call me when all these orations are finished.
Lily!
What time is it?
You have plenty of time to listen to what I should rather say we, have to ask you, Kurt. I promise to be brief. But first, let me again impress upon you that I am talking in a spirit of the deepest friendliness and sympathy with you, as a fellow member of the same family, and with the highest ideals and the honor of that family always in view. First, let me ask you,
Is it your intention to take that 5 o'clock train today?
Yes, I told you that already.
and then you'll join this expedition
You know that.
to be gone for 5 years?
More or less?
Is it your intention to return here at any time before you leave?
No.
And your determination on these plans is irrevocable?
Irrevocable.
That being your attitude, I will come bluntly to the core of the whole matter. The child who's coming into the world cost Martha her life.
Her murderer.
You can hardly hold the child responsible for the terrible outcome. Women die every day from the same cause. Why do you attribute guilt to the child in this case, Kurt? Its name is Jason, Kurt, in the eyes of the law.
Will you please remember that?
I don't want to remember anything.
I am sorry, Kurt. You
can't act as if you were alone in this affair.
I've got to get away. I've got to get away from this horrible place, as far away as I can. I have to get back to my work, and only in that will I find Martha again. But you can't understand that. I mean, well, what's the good of all this talking if it leads nowhere?
You're mistaken. It leads to this. Do you understand that your running away from this child on the very day of its mother's funeral will have a very queer appearance in the eyes of the world? In the world's eyes, it will appear precious like a desertion on your part.
Well, arrange it how you like it, anything you wish.
I'll take you at your word. Then let us arrange it this way.
You will remain here a month longer at least.
No!
You can make plans for the child's future in that time.
Become reconciled to it.
No!
Kurt, please, for all our sakes, when the honor of the family is at stake.
Yes, old man, there's that's about it, you know.
No!
Oh, he's impossible.
Perhaps Kurt misunderstood me. Be reconciled to it in the eyes of the public, Kurt. That's what I meant. Your own private feelings in the matter are no one's business but your own, of course.
It's all very well for you to ignore what people in town think. You'll be in China or heaven knows where. The scandal won't touch you. But
We've got to live here and have our position to consider.
Scandal? What scandal? Oh, you mean the imbecile busybodies that will call me an unnatural father? Well, let them! I suppose I am. But they don't know.
perhaps they know more than you think they do.
Just what do you mean by that?
Be still, John. Let's let Mark do the talking.
What John means is simply this, Kurt. You haven't even been to look at this child since it's been born. Not once, have you? And don't you suppose the doctors and nurses and the servants have noticed this? It is not the usual procedure, you must acknowledge, and they wouldn't be human if they didn't think your actions, or lack of actions, peculiar, and comment on it outside.
Do you think? Let them! Do you think I give a fiddler's curse how people judge me?
It is
hardly a case of
their
people judging you.
This is a small town, Kurt, and you know as well as I do, gossip is not the least of its faults. It doesn't take long for such things to get started. Now I ask you, frankly, is it wise to provoke deliberately what may easily be set at rest by a little, I'll be frank, a little pretense on your part?
Yes, my boy. As a Jason, I know you don't wish to
And
bring
you really must think of us, Kurt.
How are you concerned? Pretense? You mean you want me to stay, to pretend, in order that you won't be disturbed by any silly tales they tell about me? Good God! This is too much! Why does a man have to be maddened by such fools at such a time? Leave me alone! You're like a swarm of poisonous flies!
Kurt, this is really when we've tried to be so considerate.
It's an outrage to allow such insults!
You're not playing the game, Kurt.
It seems to me it's much more for Martha's sake we're urging you than for our own.
Martha's sake? Martha's sake? Martha's gone. You leave her out of this.
But unfortunately, Kurt, others will not leave her out of this. They will pry and pry, you know what they are, and then...
Kurt couldn't act the way he is doing if he ever really cared for her.
You dare say that to me? Mike, what do you know of love?
You are making a fool of yourself, Kurt. Are you or are you not willing to act like a man of honor to protect your own good name, the family name, the name of this child, and your wife's memory? Let me tell you, your wife's good name is more endangered by your stubbornness than anything else.
You, all of you, you are aiming against something against Martha in this. Yes, in the back of your words and your actions. Go away. Get out of the house. Please, please. I've seen how you've tried to hurt her ever since we came here. Because you resented, in your small minds, her evident superiority.
Superiority?
Yes! Her breadth of mind and her greatness of soul. That you couldn't understand. Oh no, I've guessed all this. And if I haven't interfered, it's only because I knew she was too far above you to notice your sickening malice.
Oh, you're only acting. Acting for our benefit. Because you think we don't know.
Little non-entity.
We know. And the whole town knows. And you needn't pretend you've been blind. You've given the whole thing away yourself. The silly way that you have acted, telling everyone how you hated that baby, letting everyone else know. But you might as well leave off your idiotic pretending. It doesn't fool us, or anyone else. You sending for Bigelow that night, you're hobnobbing with him ever since you're pretending he's as much of your friend as ever. They're all afraid of you, but I'm not. I tell you to your face, and it's all acting you're doing. Just cheap acting to pull the wool over our eyes until you run away like a coward. And left us to face the disgrace for you with the child on our hands.
John, keep still, for heaven's sakes.
Well, someone had to show him his place. He thinks he's so superior to us just because he's telling us how much better she was than us. But I won't stand for it. I've always had a clean name, and always will. And my children too, thank God.
Bigelow? Big? Pretending he's much as my friend? Oh my God.
What is the matter?
That's what's been in your minds? Yes. Yes, all of you. I can see it in your faces. No. No, you don't. You don't.
I don't what, Curtis? My, how sick you look, poor boy.
You don't believe that this child
He's the sweetest baby I ever saw.
I know you. But look at them. Wait. I'll give you the only answer.
Well, why don't you go after him? He's liable to do... Good God, why don't you follow him, Dick?
Why would I follow him? And the doctor and nurses were in there. They would have called out, wouldn't they?
I understand less and less of this. Where has Curtis gone? Why did he act so sick? What is the matter with all of you?
Nothing, Uncle.
No, you'll not shut me up. You all look guilty. Have you been saying anything against Kurt's baby? That was what Curtis seemed to think. A fine time you picked out, with his wife not cold in her grave.
Uncle, please.
I never liked that woman. I never understood her. But now I love her and beg her forgiveness. She died like a true woman in the performance of her duty. She died gloriously. And I will always respect her memory. I feel you are all hostile to her baby. The poor little defenseless creature. Yes, you'd hate the idea of Curtis's having a son. You and your girls. Well, I'll make you bitterly regret the day you...
I fear it will be necessary to tell Uncle.
Shh. You have made enough trouble with your telling already. Should never have come to this pass. Kurt will never forgive us. Never.
See what not holding your tongue has done. And my children will have to suffer for it too.
That's right, all of you. pick on me, cowards!
Here he comes.
Well, my answer to you and your rotten world. I kissed him, and he's mine. He looked at me as if through Martha's eyes.
Kurt, you won't go now. You'll stay.
Oh, do you think your vile slander could influence me to give up my work? And neither shall you influence the life of my son. No, I leave him here because I must, but not to your tender mercies. No, no. No, thank God. There still remains one Jason with unmuddled integrity to whom I can appeal. I'll leave him in your care while I'm gone, Uncle.
It will be my happiness. He will be the one God never granted me. God has answered my prayers at last.
Thank you. Thank you, Uncle.
And I cannot approve your going away like this. It is not natural. But you always were a queer person, and a man must do faithfully the work that was ordained for him.
Yes. Yes, I must go. What good would I be for him or anyone if I stayed? Thank God you understand. But I'll come back. And when he's old enough, I'll teach him. I'll teach him how to love a big and free life. Martha used to say that he would take my place, her place in time. But no, Martha shall live for him in me. And you must swear to keep him out in the country. Don't let him know this obscene little world.
I promise, Curtis. Let anyone dare.
I must go. Teach him his mother was the most beautiful thing in the whole world.
Kurt, you're going?
Kurt, you're not leaving us this way.
You're going without a word?
You're not going, Kurt.
Yes. Goodbye. You loved her, didn't you? Then take my advice and get away from... I can see it in your face. It's too late.
No.
Going.
Kurt, I swear.
I'm going without a word because I can't find the right one. And be thankful I can't.
My boy, we were wrong, we know. But at least say you forgive us.
Ask her for forgiveness. We must relearn to love and respect what we become. So you are forgiven. Goodbye.
You did find out? Fine mess you made of everything. But no, I should say we, shouldn't I? Kurt guessed at that. I hate you. And myself.
Well, it isn't as bad as it might have been anyway. He did acknowledge the kid before witnesses too.
Keep your remarks to yourself, if you please.
I don't even want to be your dad. I would rather be my mom right now with the people here right now. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right there.
dog named Rover, don't bark. Uncle's going to buy you a horse and cart. And if that horse and cart fall down, you'll still be the sweetest little baby in town. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Your daddy loves you, and so do I.